Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. And this clip we're going to be going over section 3.1 of our virtual Algebra 1 text, focusing on how to graph linear inequalities in one variable. Alright, before we get started with the problems, we're going to do a real quick review on our inequality symbols, what they mean, their inclusion or exclusion notation, and what the graph looks like. Okay, so let's title this review on inequality symbols. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to make use of a chart to do our review process. Let's go ahead and title each column. So our first column we're going to call, this is a symbol column, and then the meaning of the symbol, and then inclusion or exclusion, and then the last column will be our graph column. Okay? Alright, so the first inequality is less than. Okay? So this is a symbol for less than. This less than symbol, think about the letter L, okay, and less than, and think about this inequality symbol. You see they're very similar, right? They both kind of pointing to the left direction. So if you forget what less than or greater than is, just think about the letter L in less, and then just rotate this vertical part a little bit to the right, and then you see that this is a symbol that is the less than symbol. Okay, so this symbol means less than. Inclusion or exclusion, this is represented with an open circle. This means that that point is excluded. Okay, so open means exclusion. Let's take a look at an example of what that is. If you have x less than some number, let's say a, alright, and then you have a number line, or the graph A, what this graph looks like is an open circle with everything to the left or less than a. That is what x is less than a means. Alright, let's take a look at the next one. What if we have this symbol? This symbol is the greater than symbol. Exclusion or inclusion, since there is no line underneath the inequality, is going to be an open circle, which means that that point is excluded from the solution region. An example of what that looks like, x is greater than a, so you have a on the number line. You have an open circle, and everything to the right or greater than a is what x greater than a means. Alright? Now just a tip to keep in mind, if you have your variable to the left, if the variable is on the left, the direction of the inequality can tell you where your arrow points. Just make sure that the variable is on the left side first. Alright, let's take a look at the next inequality symbol. Next inequality symbol is less than or equal to. Okay, so write it as less than or equal to. Think about this inequality as a combination of two inequalities. This is a combination of the less than inequality and the equals equality. Okay, so less than symbol plus the equal to symbol together combined will give you the less than or equal to inequality symbol. So it's a combination. Alright, so what does the inclusion look like? So you have an open circle, but because of the equal to, that circle is filled in. So this is going to be a closed circle. Alrighty, what does it look like? What does x less than or equal to some number look like? It's very similar to the first one. Okay, This is x is less than a, but that equal to component means we add the boundary point that was excluded, namely a, and color that in and make it a closed circle. Okay? All right, and then we have the last one, greater than or equal to, is written as greater than, or equal to. All right, this is a combination of what two inequalities? If you combine the greater than and the equal to symbols, this will result in your greater than or equal to symbol. Inclusion or exclusion, because of that line there, that line means include that point. We are going to have a closed circle. What does the graph look like? X, for example, greater than or equal to a is going to be similar to the second graph we drew. Let's say we have a. It's going to be a closed circle going to the right. All right, so these are the four inequality symbols we're going to be using to graph our inequalities in one variable in this presentation. All right, so the instructions for this, the problems we're going to do are to graph the given inequality on a number line. Okay, so when you're graphing it on a number line, we're either going to be going to the left or to the right. Okay, it's just one-dimensional movement on a straight line. There's a way where the problems we're doing will be applicable to two dimensions, but that will be covered in future lessons. So number one, let's say we have x is greater than 6. All right, let's see what the graph of that looks like. So we have x is greater than 6. Since there's no line, we know that it's going to be an open circle. And since it's greater than, it's going to be pointing to the right. So let's go ahead and graph what that looks like. So draw a number line. So we have 0 is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so above 6 we have an open circle, and we're going to be going to the right because it's greater than. All right, let's go ahead and specify our variable. The variable for this number line is x. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your final answer for question number 1. All right, let's take a look at another example. Let's say we have the inequality x is less than or equal to -3. What does the graph of that equation look like? So since we have x is less than or equal to -3, less than is going to be going to the left, and we have equal to, so the circle is going to be closed. So we're going to have a closed circle going to the left. Okay, let's go ahead and graph that. All right, so we have our number line. Our number line, the variable is x again. So let's graph 0. And then we have 1, 2, 3. That's -3. So we're going to have a closed circle here, and everything to the left. Less than is to the left. Greater than is to the right. Okay? Now let's take a look at question 3. Let's box this one first, and then we're going to go to 3. Question 3. Let's say we have the inequality x is greater than or equal to 2. How do you graph that? Well, let's do it. Solution is as follows. If you have x is greater than or equal to 2, that means that we are going to have a a closed circle because of the line underneath, and then greater than, you're going to be going to the right. Let's graph that. So we have our number line. And then let's label it x, that's a variable. And then let's call this 0, 0, 1, 2. Alright, x is greater than or equal to 2, so it basically represents 2, which is a closed circle, and every real number that's bigger, so to the right, because bigger is to the, greater is to the right, and less than is to the left. That's the answer to question number 3. Alright, let's take a look at question number 4. Let's say we have, for number 4, t is less than 4. Alright, we have to graph that. Okay, so to graph this, let's write it down. T is less than 4. We are going to have an open circle since there's no line underneath the inequality, and less than means we're going to be going to the left. Okay, let's go ahead and graph that on a number line. So the variable here is t, the independent variable is t. So we put a t there. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have an open circle above 4, and every number to the left of 4 that's less than 4 will satisfy this inequality right here. Okay, so this is a graph of the inequality. T is less than 4. Alright, let's take a look at question 5. What if we have the inequality -1 as less than or equal to m? Let's solve that. -1 less than or equal to m. Let's write that down. Well, one thing you'll notice is that the variable is to the right, so we have to switch it around. Okay, -1 is less than m is the same thing as m is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, so it's always good to put the variable first because it helps you to use the inequality to know the direction that the arrow points to. Okay, so what we just did is we just switched the numbers and the inequality symbol. When you switch the numbers, you also have to switch the inequality symbols also. Alright, so what does this graph look like? So we're going to have a closed circle and is greater than, because if -1 is less than m, any number m, then that means m has to be greater than -1. Alright, so that's what the graph will look like. Let's go ahead and graph it. Have our number line. The variable that we are working with right now is m. So let's put this is 0 and this is -1. So this inequality says including -1, the set of all numbers that are bigger than -1, so the arrow points to the right, for greater. That's the solution to question number 5. Alright, let's take a look at one more. What if we have the inequality 6 is less than k? Let's see what that looks like. 6 is less than k. Alright, so we have a problem here. The variable is to the right of the number, so let's go ahead and switch it around. So if 6 is less than, because that looks like an S, since 6 is less than k, that follows that k is greater than 6. Okay? So what we just did is we switched the inequality. Now, let's go ahead and graph this inequality, what is it going to look like? There's no line underneath, so it's an open circle. Greater than means you're going to the right. So that's what the graph is going to look like. Alright, so let's draw a number line. And then the variable here is 6. So let's say this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The variable is not 6, the variable is k. So we have a k down, and this is 6 right here. Okay, so we're going to have an open circle for this, and everything to the right. So everything to the right of 6. So there goes your answer for question number 6. Alrighty, now how well did you understand the contents of this presentation? In order to demonstrate mastery, we would like you to try out the following problems. So try these problems, and then check your answers. Okay, so number 1, what if you have, so the instructions are for you to graph the given inequalities on a number line. So let's say you have n is greater than -5 for number 1. Number 2, 1 is less than m. Number 3, p is less than or equal to 1. Number 4, -1 is less than or equal to b. Number 5, r is greater than or equal to -4. And then number 6, 1 is greater than or equal to x. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video. I'd like you to try out these 6 problems. When you're done, click on play to see what the answers are. Alright, so hopefully you had a chance to work on these problems. Let's go ahead and graph them. This one is n. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5. So n is greater than -5, open circle, and everything to the right. 1 is less than m, variables m, 0, 1, open circle. 1 is less than m is going to be m is greater than 1. Okay, so you just switch it around, and then you have something like this. And then p is less than or equal to 1. P is a variable. 0, 1, close circle, everything to the left. Number 4, -1 less than b, of course you're going to switch it around. b is greater than or equal to -1. So 0, -1. This variable, this axis is a b-axis, close circle, and everything to the right. For number 5, our axis is r. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. Close circle, everything to the right. Number 6, x is greater, 1 is greater than or equal to x, basically means that x is less than or equal to 1. 0, 1, close circle, everything to the left for less than. Okay, so these are the answers. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. We really appreciate it. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of inequalities, do give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate your positive feedback. If you have any questions, comments, or requests for tutorials or anything that we went over in this presentation, just include it in the comment section below, and we'll be more than glad to respond. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to the remainder of this review series. More support resources, videos, worksheets, games, and tools can be found at mathgotserved.com. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.